Cersei is one of the most fascinating characters in Game of Thrones. She's a character who is all about family and will stop at nothing to protect them. But throughout the course of her story, we've seen her slowly being chipped away, and what's most precious to her be taken away from her. Since the very beginning of Game of Thrones, they have been hinting about the threat that's looming north of the Wall, how the real threat lies to the north. And this is all true, but as we've been focusing on the north, we've been watching an origin story for the last 7 seasons for the enemy to the south. And while it will take a lot of effort to finally defeat the Night King or push him back north of the Wall, our characters are also going to have to deal with the enemy to the south, and that's Cersei. And she's proven at this point she will stop at nothing to make sure all of her enemies are dead. Because at this point, Cersei has lost almost everything. And after all this time, she's only driven by anger and revenge. And we've seen in the past that anger and revenge can make Cersei do very dangerous things. It's her key motivation throughout the show, is getting back at the people who've wronged her and her family. And that's the cornerstone of Cersei's character, which means that in Season 8, she'll be very unpredictable. At this point, she sees the Night King coming south as an opportunity, and I think we could see Cersei do a lot of irrational things to take advantage of the Night King coming south. We've seen her counsel Joffrey on never attacking the north because it's too big and vast, and no king has ever journeyed north to attack. She may be the first person to do that because she's run by emotion. In Season 1, her and Robert talked about the Dothraki, never fighting them in an open field, and that may be something she'll do as well. Cersei's greatest benefit is that she's unpredictable. In Season 7, she had everyone wrapped around her finger as she sent them back north to fight the Night King while she's preparing her battlements to fight them. And now she's a huge contender against Daenerys. She's amassed a huge army. First of all, she has her Lannister force, which is one of the strongest forces in all of Westeros. But on top of that, she's gotten in the good graces of the Bank of Bravos. And because of that, she was able to get 20,000 men from the Golden Company. And this is the most skilled sellsword company founded by Blackfyre Targaryen exiles. And the weaponry that she has really equips her to help defeat Daenerys. I'm sure that she's produced a lot more Scorpion ballistas where she could attack Daenerys' dragons. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Scorpion ballista on every part of King's Landing. But the most important thing that Cersei has is wildfire. We've heard multiple characters talk about how it's located in every aspect of King's Landing, from the streets of Flea Bottom to the Red Keep. And in Season 6, Cersei's proven that she's not afraid to use it. So for all of these reasons, it makes attacking Cersei very difficult. And it puts Jon and Daenerys in a very bad situation. If they decide to attack Cersei, they'll be adding more men to the Night King's army. If they try and fly into the Red Keep, like Daenerys was planning in Season 7, the wildfire could trigger and countless civilians could die. So coming into Season 8, it doesn't look like there's much that could defeat Cersei. And that's what all of our characters are going to have to realize, that the biggest enemy of Cersei is herself and her own emotions. And they're going to have to defeat her quick to retreat safely south from the Night King. And with that, what our characters will probably realize is that there's some things that they could exploit with what Cersei has. And first comes with the Golden Company. She got in tremendous debt to get the Golden Company. And it's an army based on Targaryen exiles. And they are known for never breaking a contract. And this army will be fighting against 2 Targaryens, Jon and Daenerys. At this point, Jon's heritage is a secret, but I'm sure it'll need to come forward to try and win the graces of the Golden Company. And because the Golden Company is fighting against 2 Targaryen dragon riders, there may be a reason for them to switch allegiances. Maybe they find a way to cancel the contract. Maybe they offer them permanent residence in Westeros. Or maybe Daenerys and Jon make a strong enough case to get them to help fight. And if Jon and Daenerys take back the Golden Company, Cersei still has a lot to fight with. She has her Lannister force, and as a failsafe, she has wildfire. I feel like Daenerys or Jon trying to take Cersei head on and go to the Red Keep is dangerous because of the ballistas and because wildfire that she could blow up at any time. And I think this really just feeds into the loss that we could experience throughout the show. There's not much that these characters can do about that. All they can do is to play with Cersei's emotions. But I believe because of Cersei's actions, there's going to be a moment of desperation. And we'll see that dragon flying over King's Landing. And ultimately, whether the wildfire goes off or not, or whether Daenerys burns King's Landing out of desperation, King's Landing will be destroyed. And it will leave no one on the throne. And all of that we can see because of prophecy. And in a way, we know how Cersei's going to end because there have been many prophecies that have predicted and have been right on Cersei's course in this show. The first one is gold their crowns and gold their shrouds. And this is about all of Cersei's children that have died. It hints at Joffrey being poisoned by Olenna Tyrell, it hints at Myrcella being poisoned by the Sand Snakes, and it hints at Tommen committing suicide at the hand of Cersei's actions. But then the prophecy also says that Cersei will be queen for a time, and then comes another, younger, more beautiful queen to cast you aside, take you down, and take all you hold dear. And this prophecy has driven Cersei throughout the whole show. She thought that someone was going to take her place as queen to Robert, or the Queen Mother. But now Cersei is the actual queen of Westeros, and now we're actually at a point now where somebody could take that mantle from her. Obviously the most likely candidate is Daenerys. Or there could be some weird plot twist where it could be Daenerys' daughter, or something of that nature. But then the most important part of the prophecy is it says that Cersei dies at the hands of the Valonqar. And Valonqar in High Valyrian means little brother. But what we've learned in Game of Thrones Season 7 is that a lot of phrases in High Valyrian are gender neutral. So this could also mean little sister. And a couple of the potential candidates I see is Arya as a little sister, Daenerys as a little sister to her brother Viserys and Rhaegar, as well as Tyrion and Jaime, who are both the little brothers of Cersei. I think, however, in this case we can take the prophecy at face value, because I think it makes the most sense for Jaime Lannister to be the Valonqar. This would kind of complete Jaime's story. He was always known as the Kingslayer, the spoiled Lannister, and the dishonorable one. But the reason why he's the Kingslayer is because he decided to do what was right. And we could finally see Jaime come full circle and go against the person that he loves to still do what is right. Because at this point, he's the only person who can emotionally connect to Cersei and really get her at her most vulnerable. Because in the last season, Jaime straight up left her. And Cersei didn't do anything to Jaime because she loves him. She had to let him go. So I think that Jaime's connection to Cersei will be further prevalent in this season, and it will help to defeat her. So that goes into how I think Cersei will be defeated based on all of these factors. And I think in Season 8 she starts off in a unique position. She's holding down King's Landing, and her brother Jaime has now left to go fight the White Walkers. As soon as Jaime arrives in Winterfell, Daenerys and Jon will know that Cersei has betrayed them, and that she is not going to bring her armies north. But I think before they can act on it, the White Walkers will attack them at Winterfell. But I think because of this and many other reasons, Cersei won't just sit at King's Landing and wait for the Night King to do her work for her. As we've said, she's run by emotion. I think Cersei is going to take certain steps to, in her mind, secure her place as Queen of the Seven Kingdoms by imposing her will on the Seven Kingdoms. One key attack that she could do is she could send Euron Greyjoy and his fleet to White Harbor. What that does is it stops the North from getting resources, and it stops the North from escaping the Night King on boat. She could also take a huge portion of the Golden Company and march them north. They could reach Winterfell before the Night King attacks, or maybe she'll meet Daenerys and Jon when they're retreating south, and trap her enemy between her and the Night King. But I think in doing so, Cersei's going to leave the Golden Company vulnerable. She's going to leave them vulnerable to Daenerys and Jon. And I think there are multiple hypotheses you can make that could result in the Golden Company changing allegiances and for the first time in history breaking their contract for Daenerys Targaryen and the newly named Aegon Targaryen, who is really Jon Snow. And I think the main result of this will be through Jon Snow. Every vision Bran has had in the past is based on Jon Snow's parentage and who he truly is, a Targaryen. And I think this is a very significant point in the story that helps Jon become who he was meant to be and fulfill the prophecy of taking the Golden Company back under his wing, because he's a legitimized Targaryen of Rhaegar Targaryen. And it kind of fulfills Jon's story arc of always bringing two sides together to fight a common enemy. So I think the Golden Company will eventually fight for Daenerys and Jon, and they'll get information from Jorah because he has experience with the Golden Company, and they may have help from Varys. As the Spider, he has many connections, especially Illyrio, who is in Essos with a lot of money. But I think when they finally get the Golden Company on their side, they will still be retreating from the Night King. So I think after that, they will meet Cersei in King's Landing. And whatever the situation is, I think it will be pressing, because the Night King will be coming south and they'll have to deal with Cersei fast. Knowing that she is such a big threat, they're probably going to send Jaime into King's Landing to the Red Keep to talk to her. I believe that Jaime's the only person that Cersei wouldn't kill on sight. And I think in Jaime's attempt to try and get Cersei to surrender, she refuses. She wants to blow up the Red Keep, she wants to blow up King's Landing, and she wants to fight off Daenerys and kill her two dragons with her scorpion ballistas. And I think under a bunch of circumstances, I would like to see Daenerys in her point of desperation attack King's Landing, because it gives her that imagery of the Mad Queen even though that is not who she is at all. From the civilians of King's Landing, it makes Daenerys look like this terrible person, but she's really just doing it to protect all the people of Westeros and defeat Cersei as quick as possible. And I think in this point of desperation, Jaime is going to kill Cersei. And I think Jaime could die among the flames in King's Landing. And that would completely fulfill the Valonqar prophecy, and it would leave it open for Cersei to be replaced by a more beautiful queen. And I think that lets Jon and Daenerys secure King's Landing and prepare to fight the real threat, the Night King. And the final fight against the Night King could potentially take place at King's Landing. But that's all I gotta say in this video. Please let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'll be back with more videos before Game of Thrones Season 8 airs. But until next time, see you guys later.